Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/thewafflepress and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/thewafflepress. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Waffle Press Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is Gina Versa.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to be back after my long absence.
I'm very glad to have you back. We were talking about it because we saw each other. We were texting back and forth, and it felt like a long time coming. And it's very good to have you back, my friend.
Yeah, so I was making a short film movie. It was like a black hole, a good black hole on my lap. So
we will be highlighting that eventually once it's released. And another long absence, Brandon Swafford, a good friend. Welcome back to the show. It's been like 2 years.
Oh, I was there in December.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. It's still been a long time.
You weren't there.
No, I wasn't. I haven't podcasted with you in 2 years.
That exactly. So it's been a while between you and me. On your left, happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me back. It's been not just from here, but also on the internet for me. The things have been good. As a lot of you guys may know, I stopped making trailer mashups on YouTube, and the reason why is because I got a job at Disney. I'm working at Disney TV Animation, and that's going pretty well. Digital production coordinator, and I'm happy to be doing it, and happy I lived to see Avengers Endgame. Because that was a fear. I was like, what if I die before I see this movie? What happened? But I can die now, and I can get to talk to you guys. But before I do, I want to talk to you guys about this movie. And thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, pleasure.
And then finally, we have Andrew Salazar back. How are you, my man?
I am very good. It's been a very exhausting week. I am graduating from college very soon, and I had to squeeze in Endgame somehow. So I literally saw it. It was literally one of those things where like I went right after class, and class ended like at 10 p.m. So I saw the movie late, but the theater was still really, really busy.
Oh,
and by the time it was over, it was 4 a.m. when my screening was done, and I had class and a test at 10 in the morning that same day.
Jesus.
So,
you did
and
not.
You know, like, yeah. And of course, when I got home, I didn't sleep because I was thinking about the movie. And I was like, how can I sleep? I have all these thoughts. And
Yep.
I probably slept for 2 hours, went to class, then try to see the movie again the same day. But, like, I kid you not, I was in Hollywood. And, like, trying to get decent seats because I had seen the movie. I wasn't down for sitting somewhere where I wasn't happy. It was hard, and I didn't end up seeing it. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just go rest because that's what I need right now. So it's been a hectic few days, but you know, I'm excited to be here because I know a lot of us probably have a lot of different things to say about this movie. But you know what?
Yeah.
But you know what? That's something like I high key appreciate, and I don't think I can say this for something else that's this monumental, if that makes any sense. But we'll get into that.
But man, 4 a.m. I got out at 2 a.m. and I work at 9, and I was complaining. I can't complain anymore. I got a lot of respect for you.
I couldn't even tell it was 4. I was like, really? I was like, damn, okay.
Up to this point, what are all of our thoughts on the MCU? Brandon, you haven't been able to give a lot of thoughts on anything lately, so I want to start off with you. Yeah. Thoughts on the MCU, and I want, if we all can, everyone on the panel to give their own personal rankings from least favorite to favorite in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But let's run it down really fast. So quick thoughts and then quick rankings.
I'm very thankful for this franchise. I'm very thankful for this saga. It's a beautiful thing. I grew up with these characters, and I remember seeing Iron Man in 2008 with my dad in the theater. And that was a great movie. At the time, we were all waiting for The Dark Knight to come out. But I remember the end credits scene. I remember being in the theater when Nick Fury comes out and says, "I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative." And we're all looking at each other like, that would be neat. And then in Incredible Hulk, when Robert Downey Jr. comes at the end, he's like, "We're putting together a team," and I was thinking, I don't know if that could ever happen. We're gonna get a Justice League movie before that. But look at this is an extraordinary thing, and the development that's been into these characters, the variety of them, the different worlds they go into. I adore these movies. Some I like more than others. My least favorite, starting with Thor: The Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Captain America: The First Avenger, Ant-Man the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Ultron, Doctor Strange, Thor, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Black Panther, Spider-Man: Homecoming, The First Guardians, Winter Soldier, Guardians 2, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers, Thor 3, and Infinity War: Endgame.
So Endgame's your favorite?
Endgame or Infinity War is my favorite. Okay. I have to see Endgame again. I'm trying to go see it Wednesday night again because I've seen Infinity War like 9-10 times maybe. I'm not bored of it yet.
Yeah, it has some rewatchability to it, I would say.
Yeah. So
all things considered.
So as of right now, Endgame or Infinity War are my favorite, but I'll have to sit with Endgame a lot longer. But Endgame was a dream come true. It was.
All right, Gene, go ahead.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I certainly am a very big fan of the MCU. I'm a big Marvel fan. As a kid, I think grew up with both Marvel and DC, but Marvel was my first love, so it was cool to see these characters on screen. I don't think I saw the first Iron Man in theaters for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why. But Iron Man 2 and the Hulk got me into that, and it's great to see the universe grow. I mean, there's some things to critique it for, but there isn't like a bad movie in the bunch. I mean, there's movies where it's like, I don't want to see that movie.
Yeah, there's movies that are okay, but none of them are bad.
Right, like I don't like Thor: The Dark World, but I wouldn't call it like a bad movie. I would just
I agree with you. I agree. It's not bad. Not.
And just the strengths of some of these films, like Winter Soldier and Ragnarok, are just they outweigh like anything negative about the film. So I'm really happy. But my least favorite is still Thor: The Dark World. Diego knows this.
That man.
Yeah, that movie, man. That's I don't know what happened. Like how they got the director of Game of Thrones to make such a boring movie.
Well, he also directed Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, that explains some stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that one's on the director.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, how he directed something so boring. Yeah, I guess he's just untalented. But yeah, that's at the bottom. I would go with Iron Man 2 after that.
Mm-hmm.
It's meh. It's not bad, but it's Incredible Hulk is after that because it's just so forgettable. It's kind of bland.
It's the redhead stepchild of
yeah, it's not talked about. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp because I don't like it too much, to be honest. The first Thor I would rank pretty low. Ant-Man, Doctor Strange.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it was goodish. The Civil War, which hasn't aged too well for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wouldn't say I dislike it, but it's whatever. Iron Man, and then Homecoming, Avengers, the first Avenger, and then it would be, I guess my top would be at the bottom. My top is Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Mm.
Or excuse me, let's have Infinity War there. Then Endgame. Then Black Panther. And still my top favorite is The Winter Soldier.
Very cool.
Wow.
Solid list.
Yeah. Andrew, you good to go?
So I too have seen every Marvel movie in the theater since 2008. it's kind of crazy because I never thought, like watching Iron Man back then, that I was gonna like that we would be here today. And yeah, I'm grateful, and I'm like all those things. Like I'm not putting those things down. Like that's definitely what I feel, but I want to highlight specifically that like I feel more. This is a little bit more special to me because like I've grown up my entire life hearing people older than me say, when I saw this in so and so year, it was it was a landmark. When I saw Star Wars in '77, when I saw Jaws, etc. I've grown up all my life hearing people tell me that, and I really do feel like this is our thing right now.
Yeah,
So like whenever we're talking to people, let's say I don't want to say our kids because that's something corny that people are saying, but it's true.
yeah,
Or
it's true.
you
It's true.
know, or talking to anyone younger than us in the future, this is gonna be like when I saw Endgame,
Yeah.
or when I saw this one, or this one, or this one. But I think it's a little bit more special for this movie specifically because it is an ending. It
Hmm.
does feel like something of our generation, and I don't think watching the movie, I don't think we're gonna get a movie like this anytime soon. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be movies that are good like this or something, but this is just such a monumental ending to something that's been going on for such a long time, where I
Hmm.
don't see it happening anytime soon, if at all.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I would say even from the yeah, I would agree with you, dude. Because even from like the MCU standpoint, the next couple films are, I believe, they're not really going to be too interconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're like really small, or like not small, but they're like very much their own thing.
Yeah, I think they're still gonna have that connection, but they're not gonna. I don't know if they're gonna build up to another thing like an Avengers Endgame or Infinity War.
yeah,
And I don't
I
think I want them to.
yeah. Feige's like,
Yeah.
no,
yeah,
no.
honestly, I don't know if they want. I don't know how they can top it at this point.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's unless like they have the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Secret Wars. Maybe they could build up to that, but
Let's, yeah.
But even
Yeah.
then,
Hold
Yeah,
our
that
roll.
would
we'll
be
hold
like
off on that discussion for a little bit.
yeah,
yeah, yes,
that would be like 10 years of not even more than 10 years. I think honestly, like
hmm
maybe, but that's like a dream thought right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do, yeah, I really do feel like I grew with these characters, and
hmm
I know a lot of people can say that, and I think that so many people can say that about something about movies in general. I think is beautiful,
yes,
and
yeah,
like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there's
That's a
gonna
nice
be
feeling.
another big like thing to come along, and if that's good, I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
hmm
That's not like a superhero movie, etc. But like right now, that's what it is, and I think we should probably like treasure it for what it is, but also at the same time, not take it for granted. But like it's a thing. Like I'm very watching the movie. I was very satisfied, saying, you know what, this is the end of
hmm
this. Like I'm happy there's an end because all good things must come to an end, one more or less. Because you don't want we don't want to be seeing these actors and playing these characters for a long time where they don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean?
right.
Or like
Yeah.
they're phoning it in,
Or
or they're
even
like a
like, or even recasting it too.
Yeah. That I think
Oh,
that would
right.
be a
No, no, no.
serious
oh
mistake.
God,
Yeah.
hell no, absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't want to see
You know
anyone
what?
play Tony Stark,
Yeah.
but Robert Downey Jr. I don't want to see
You don't
anyone.
want like diehard Bruce Willis right now. You know what I mean? Like you don't want that
Yeah.
from
yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. anytime soon.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, like,
But Andrew, why don't you go ahead and give us your rankings?
I've always found it really hard to rank 22 movies but they're kind of similar to like to yours, obviously.
hmm
Um, because it's really hard to rank 22 movies when you don't think that any of them are like really, really bad.
Yeah,
They're
I
just
was
like
up
the
all night
bottom.
picking them.
Yeah, the
hmm
bottom is like okay, like by themselves. Like what Gene said. I don't want to watch that movie sometimes, but you know what? I don't think it's like a really bad movie. Like there's some
hmm
redeeming qualities for sure, but I just don't think I want to watch it right now. So those for me would probably be like obviously Iron Man 2, even though like I think it's a good movie.
Iron Man 2, yeah.
Because I used to watch that movie a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I used to watch it a lot.
mhm,
I don't know why, but I like stuff. There's a lot of stuff I like about it,
mhm.
but it's not one that I wanted to see again.
Yeah,
So, like, Hulk, The Dark World, probably like Iron Man 2, even though I think Iron Man 2 is better than those two movies. Uh, I don't know why, but when the first Doctor Strange movie came out, I really liked it, but I haven't like been wanting to see it again,
Yeah.
even though I think it's good.
Mhm.
Um, and this might seem odd, but like above all those, I put like Ant-Man, the first one,
Nah, that's
because
not
I
odd.
like I'm pretty. I'll admit it, I'm biased. I love Paul Rudd. I
Me
stand
too.
Rudd.
Yeah.
That movie, I stand like Adam McKay with the little things he did with that script. Um,
Mhm.
I really like it, even though it's not perfect. There's some things
No.
that would not go with it.
Yeah. Imagine if Adam
Uh,
McKay got to direct that. That'd be great.
he will one day, but like sure enough, it's coming.
I think so,
I
yeah.
don't know why, and I know like Diego's gonna hate me for it, but I would also put like the first Avenger in this like category because even though I think it's like I'm not saying it's bad, like it's a good movie. It's actually like pretty good. There's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff to love from it, but I
Yeah.
remember seeing that movie like on my way back from Comic Con that year, and I
Mhm.
don't know why, but there was just something that I felt that I wanted a little bit more.
Mhm.
But it was good. It was good. It's good. It's a good film. Good film. Good cinema.
The score is amazing.
uh,
The score is amazing.
Oh
And
yeah,
oh yeah,
Sylvestri
it's
does like his
great. It's
best work
great. I
there.
love it.
he's the best.
Yes, that's some good themes.
But then, yeah, going into the higher films, I would probably put. It's a little unfair, in my opinion, to rank like the Avengers films, some of them, because they do feel like massive team ups that are like trying to juggle different things that, let's say, Black Panther's trying to juggle. Because they're trying to do different things and they're like it's just a different scale.
Mhm.
So I would probably put those probably next, maybe with Infinity War, even though I like it a lot and I will defend that movie, but I'm down for more personal stories if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So up the list you would get like your Iron Man threes, Thor's really good, the first one.
Fuck yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Oh, no,
both
no.
Guardians, yeah, both Guardians movies. Even though I will defend and I will say that two is better than one,
Fuck yeah,
even
it
though
is.
one is really good.
I like it better. I don't know if it is better.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's very fair. Uh,
There's a difference.
I would put even though it's not my favorite of the Avengers movies, Ultron is good.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
some things about it that I don't like that don't work for me necessarily, but it
Mhm.
is a good movie. And oddly enough, I didn't think I would be saying this, but I'm happy that I can say it after watching Endgame. Uh, there's a lot that like I want to. Watching Endgame made me want to go back and rewatch that movie, which is I didn't think I would be saying that. But I was like, wow, like maybe because there's lines of dialogue that we'll get into probably, but
Right.
it feels kind of rewarding in some places of that film. And then, of course, the first Avengers movie to me is like super special. I think I saw that movie 4 times opening week. I can't
Nice.
remember,
Yeah, me too.
Good stuff.
but that was the Avengers. Like, was really like my bee's knees. Oh, I can't even describe it enough.
It was a special time in cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love both the Winter Soldier and Civil War. Thor Ragnarok, top five. Black Panther, top five.
Mhm.
Captain Marvel, I thought was really good and really strong
Cat
for
5.
our first outing.
All right.
Yeah,
Iron Man,
I
I
think
love
yeah,
Iron Man,
Captain Marvel, dude, great.
really strong. Unlike you guys, I really like Ant Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
All right.
I really like that movie.
I like it. It's just
I'd go up.
the best. It's not definitely not the top.
I understand. I completely understand, but I think what drives it home for me is like the father-daughter relationship
mhm.
because I'm just like a sucker for those two. Oh my god, I got. I think I've said all. I don't know where to put Endgame. Honestly,
Yeah, you
I
could.
think I need to like let it sink in a little bit more
Yeah,
because
you could leave it.
it is something. It's really heavy to think about.
Right?
Well,
There's
here
so much
you could
movies.
leave it out right now because we're gonna spend
Yeah.
like the next half hour talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so no pressure, no
there
pressure.
you go.
Having said that, I rewatched the first Iron Man movie last Monday, and I still like I get heavy emotions in the fact that the first movie that came out in over 10 years ago still holds up. Is top 5.
Okay, I'm a speed run through mine. I'm glad you guys were all positive because now we're gonna get into some serious things. At the bottom of my list is Captain America: Civil War. Then Thor: The Dark World.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
He doesn't like Civil War.
I do not like Civil War.
I said it. Oh well.
Yeah, Thor: The Dark World's also bad, but it has great production design and like really good color grading, which is odd. I don't know what they did with that movie. And then Avengers: Infinity War,
You're
which
insane.
I've
You lost
made claims
your mind.
against. And then Avengers: Endgame, which we will talk about. I did like more than Infinity War though, and my Thanos problem is not in this movie. Then Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man. This is where I start liking the movies again.
It's gonna be interesting.
Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I really really love actually, even though it's got serious issues that do not look to be having been dealt with the Far From Home trailer. Iron Man 2, which I will defend
You're
to my
trolling
dying
people.
breast.
You're
No,
trolling people at this
I
point.
swear,
Iron
this
Man
is
2
Iron Man
is
2.
better than Infinity War.
Oh yeah, no,
Endgame.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
He needs to finish.
Are you
No.
John Favreau? In a
yes, yes, I am his son. And then the original Iron Man, which is again still great. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the film that I'm convinced the Russos basically didn't make at this point, because I really really love it, and I think it's got some great, some of the best emotional stuff in the series. A great idea about how the structure of Shield was so like fallible that it allowed Hydra to resurface. Like that's how bad it got, and then they just didn't do anything interesting with the other movies. The original Avengers, or no, actually, excuse me, Captain Marvel, which I thought was going to be boring as shit, and then I saw it in the theater on a last minute whim, and I fell in love with it. It was really good. It was we Gene and I talked about it on a podcast. I'll link that one down below, but I really like that one. Then the original Avengers, which still feels like it gives you the same feeling when you walked into like the Dark Knight or like the Raimi Spider-Man's like, wow, this is a real movie event, and something that has a whole lot of heart, great character dynamics. Thor Ragnarok, Thor's my boy. And that's got the best Thor moment in movie history for my money. Thor getting asked what he was the god of again, then flashing to his father, and then fucking rocking out to Led Zeppelin. It's the shit. Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is my favorite Avengers movie, and yes, the best stuff in Endgame is totally a continuation from Age of Ultron, and I do not think that is a mistake. Captain America: The First Avenger, I love with all my heart. I even like more than the Rocketeer, and I love the Rocketeer. Iron Man 3, Thor, Black Panther, because obviously, and then Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is probably the most I will ever love a Marvel movie, and that's not a criticism at any other movie. It's just about how good Guardians 2 is.
Yes.
Really, Iron Man 2 is above Endgame. Sure, you want to rethink this?
Not at all. I feel I saw Endgame twice. I got to watch it twice.
I like you said get to. I got to.
You know what? Why don't we take 5? We'll cut to a little clip of the trailer to get everyone into the mood of the discussion, and we will head directly into our full-on spoiler talk about Avengers Endgame.
If we do this, we'd be going in short-handed.
Yeah, you mean because he killed all our friends?
We owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
Hello. We're doing a little Avengers ASMR. We're gonna do the spoiler discussion as we comfort everyone into my extremely negative opinions about this movie. So that way they won't get mad at me and they still tune into my podcast.
Don't worry, I'm here.
Okay. Brandon, let's start on a high. I feel like you're the highest one here.
Woo! Yeah, I'm high on an Endgame. I absolutely love this movie. I loved Infinity War so much, and I had this feeling it's all I wanted. It had the darkest ending in a comic book movie in a long time. It worked so well. I thought it could have been a cluster F, but it wasn't, and I was nervous about Endgame. I was excited, but I was nervous. I thought I don't know if I'll like it as much. I feel like it's just going to be tying up loose ends, and yeah, they're all going to come back, and it's kind of, might be underwhelming, and it wasn't. It was everything it could have been. Like every time something awesome happened, I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if this happened? And then something even more awesome happened. It was funny. The time travel stuff was great. Going back and went into the first Avengers was so cool. That is America's ass. I was like, I loved Fat Thor. I loved how they killed Thanos early and Thor's whole reaction to it. How he is this guy who could have stopped the genocide, and he didn't. He missed. He threw his shot away, and he got his revenge, but it didn't change anything. And he got a beer belly. He got depressed. It kind of reminded me of Peter Parker and Spider-Verse. Yep. Yeah, what happens when a superhero just messes up completely? And Tony Stark's arc in this story and his death bawled me. I cried the whole time during this movie. There's so many things that are making me cry, bringing my emotions in. Him having a daughter was great. That scene with his dad was so cool. I'm excited to see this movie with my dad, and we both love these movies, and he hasn't seen it yet. So just the father and son feeling of it will be really something. The Captain America grabbing the hammer was beautiful, and that scene where Cap has his shield and it's broken and he's about to face Thanos and his crew, and it's like, oh, he's done, he's not gonna do it. And then I hear a guy on the phone. I'm like, who is that? Wait, that's Sam. Sam died. Oh my God, they're back, and they're coming through the portals, and it was one by one, and it was so beautiful. And then they're all at that moment where Cap says, "Avengers assemble." That could have been a moment where we roll our eyes, but that was built. That was built over 22 movies for 11 years. It was built and it was earned. Everything in this movie is earned. It is not. It may be fan service, but it is so earned, and everything is beautiful. And I am Iron Man. I thought he was going to do a middle finger at Thanos, but he snapped, and it was better. And man, I freaking love this movie. I could talk about it all day, but you guys aren't going to get it. And this podcast is going to be 2 hours. This podcast will be longer than the movie.
Yeah, we're gonna have to move on.
You guys know I love it. Moving on.
All right, Andrew. Quick thoughts. 10 seconds, please.
How am I supposed to top that?
Well, here. Then how about that? We'll jump into it. Avengers Endgame. It's a bad movie, and that's okay, because it's got some really good stuff in it.
You'd be glad we're on Google Hangouts right now.
Well, look, I haven't been.
Diego,
on your left.
How many times have I heard you say it's a bad movie? But that's okay, because there's some good.
Because I don't want to get murdered by angry nerds. Like, that's why. No, I mean,
I'm driving to your house right now.
No, I mean, I felt bad because, like, yeah, everyone's crying when Iron Man died, and for me, I was just like, this isn't. I love Iron Man. I think the Iron Man trilogy is one of the most underrated movie trilogies, like, of all time, and I felt like nothing because I thought the filmmaking was just so awkward and incompetent. Like, there's this really weird blocking when Pepper and Rhodey and Peter are like all by him, and they're all like taking time to like say goodbye, but not really say goodbye. Although Pepper's last line to him, where she says that he can rest now, was really touching. But it was just so weird. Like, what the fuck? They're like tapping each other on the shoulder to like move out of the way. Just like cut around that. We don't need to see all that. And it little shit like that kept taking me out of the movie, and I should have been bawling at that point. I did not like
You don't have a
the
soul.
heavy Thor. You know, I honestly might not, but I
don't
think
have
that
a
makes it
soul,
okay.
We could never
Oh,
trade
yeah.
you for a soul stone because you don't have a soul.
I'm glad you brought up the Soul Stone because that has to be the most stupid, contrived bullshit
What?
in any of these movies.
No.
In both Infinity War and Endgame, I
No.
hate how the Soul Stone is used. I hate that
I
whole
think it,
sacrifice thing.
right. I think it works in Infinity War. That was a good character moment for Thanos, but in Endgame, sorry, I'm interrupting, but in
No,
Endgame, like
let's just all pile in on here. Let's be as much of a
yeah,
mess of a podcast as this was a movie.
Yeah.
Zing.
but yeah, in Endgame, like it felt like a video game where it's like you couldn't pass this boss battle by you have to like give them a token, and that felt so weird because it's like why did they send them if like they knew like why did Tony like send like Clint and Natasha to do that? Like, oh, they're friends. Is he like sadistic or he
They
had
didn't
to have
know.
known?
don't.
Or
They didn't know.
Guys,
Nebula
wait,
didn't
wait, wait,
know.
Nebula
wait.
knew.
Yeah.
Nebula knew.
No,
Like
no.
no one told them
No,
anything.
no, guys. I've had this discussion already. Nebula knows that her sister died, but she doesn't know how she died. She doesn't know
Mm.
Exactly.
about the spell stuff. She doesn't know
Wow.
about that.
Good
Okay,
point.
but look, my
Exactly.
problem isn't even with it is with the in-universe
Logic,
logics.
yeah.
My problem is that the writers don't understand fantasy and genre because like you have these magic space stones that can do anything, but you still have to color in the box lines of like what you can do with ideas and like time and fantasy stuff, and it just feels so contrived. Like they're explaining what you can and can't do because they want to make everyone sad when someone dies. And the fact
Mhm.
that the only two original women members of Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers both have to get thrown off a fucking cliff is
That's a
so
little,
infuriating to me.
Mhm.
I didn't leave the theater or anything, but I felt my body like physically reject the movie at that moment.
Yeah, because you
Because
love those characters and they're great characters.
Well, it's kind
I
of
love
it's
Black
like a
Widow.
woman in refrigerator thing.
I don't
Where
think
would
it
you
is.
agree?
I
I think it kind of is.
I think it's in the same vein. I don't think it's exactly that, but I think it's the same vein.
Clint has
It's almost there. Yeah.
Hawkeye has a family, so he has something to turn. Like I didn't want it to be her. I wanted it to be him because
Mhm.
because he's kind of a selfish character to me sometimes. But and I think now he lives even more guilty. So that's something for. And we're not.
Yeah.
This isn't the last of Black Widow. We're getting a movie with her, which I assume is a prequel. And
it's a prequel.
I thought of it as like these are two people who, and she has so much guilt. She's like, I've done everything, and you say you could have killed me back in the day, and you didn't. So, and this is my thank you to you, and you need to go see your family again. If this all works out and that snap works and everyone comes back, you have something to go back to.
I'm cool with that general idea, but for Natasha Romanoff to have her whole arc be like she's terrified of her past, she doesn't see a future for herself. She's constantly concerned with not being good enough of a hero. Like that's a clear through line through every movie appearance that she's been in.
Yeah.
And even Age of Ultron, when they're all like testing the hammer, like, oh, let's see if Thor's like joking around and no one can lift it. Natasha doesn't even try. And then later in that film, when they're talking about how like they don't know how to get people off Sokovia before Nick Fury shows up, and Natasha says like, well, we don't have to get off either if that's the case. Like she's just fully embraced like the idea of like heroic suicide, and so like the natural progression of a character like that is to not give them that, like to let them be happy. And instead, it's like, no, the most heroic thing she could do is just die when the movies have been like actively avoiding that.
Okay,
like, I'm sorry. I hate that.
What bothers you more, her sacrificing herself or her getting kidnapped in Age of Ultron?
Dying.
I hate
dying.
I think dying.
Dying.
I hate how she gets
the kidnapping was kind of.
The actress was pregnant. They had to rewrite her on that.
She was kicking ass the whole other time movie.
Yeah, and then she got kidnapped by fucking Ultron. That's that's a
Yeah,
quibble
the
for
kidnapping is. I mean, you cannot like the kidnapping and the death. I'm kind of like in the middle between you guys because I did think about that. Like, because more specifically about how that scene was filmed. Because when it first happened, I will admit I did feel super emotional, like the lead up to them, like Clint and her both like fighting each other. I was like, oh my god, this is like hitting me. And I actually thought that was actually really well filmed. But when her actually falling, I didn't. A piece of me really thought, okay, she's just gonna come back in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that as well.
I did too.
But she didn't, and I'm kind of like, I'm not trying to sound bad, but like, I'm kind of glad she didn't because you want her to feel like there's actual stakes in these movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at the same time, I was like, I'm not upset at her like giving like her life, but some of it because I've heard it's crazy because I've heard like plenty of what the opposite of what you're saying, Diego. And I'm not saying I agree, but I've heard a lot of that's like the perfect way. So
No, here
I
I
think just in
also.
general, I'm just like heads up, like I'm gonna be like in the middle for a lot of this
Mhm.
because I've seen a lot on multiple subjects about this movie. I've seen a lot of the far like left and of the far right, and I think that's interesting to me. I don't know. I like playing like devil's advocate, but
I do want to
um,
say really quick, not to hijack your point. I'll let you finish in a second, but it's my bad. I should have had a woman on for this too, because there was a really great piece about
I will
how
be.
Endgame. I think Amelia Irving from Birth Movies Death was writing it, and how she felt
I
that
think
this
I
was the
saw it
first
yesterday.
Avengers movie to give women their own agency, and I disagree with it. But I'm not a woman. I might just not have that
Right.
perspective, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's important to also
Right.
understand.
Mhm.
No,
I
I
still
saw
hate the
that
moment
article
though.
too.
Yeah, I kind of I dislike that as well. I mean, I'm just gonna interject, but just the fact that like they killed off two characters in the same way and just like the same like trappings of the Soul Stone that you kind of still don't understand. You know,
What
like
don't you understand about it, Dean?
well, I don't get. All right, so
What? Yeah,
when
what
you
do you
kill
not
some,
understand? Sorry.
It's
I just,
really, it's like I've thought about it too, and
uh-huh,
it's not as hard as like you think it is. It's just that like he says like to give up like something that you love the most, right?
right.
So like in Thanos, it's like his sick form of like I love my daughter, even though it's like really messed up.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
no no no
abused. Like
no!
it's
To
not
him,
real love.
No, I'm not
no,
saying
no, no.
I know.
Yeah,
Wait.
to him, it's the
I'm not saying I don't understand how it works to get it. I don't understand what it does. Like, you don't see the Soul Stone being used, like that purgatory place where Thanos had a vision of like Gamora.
yeah.
Like, is that her soul? Is that like the
I think so.
afterlife? Like, they never explain that or what the Soul Stone even functions. Like, you kind of like that's it's introduced in Infinity War and it's still never explained. And there was all these like fan theories. Does it like have all the souls of people that were dusted? You never explained. They never. Joe and Anthony Rousseau never explained that. They're kind of. It was a little lazy where it's like you still like it felt like they were like, oh, maybe we'll do this in the movie, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Like it's
Like I don't need it
like do you guys get
exposited to me. I totally
Mhm.
get what you mean. Like you don't need it to like
Yeah.
be a breakdown of like here's what it does this. But like
Mhm.
even in the filmmaking, like there's nothing like showing you like this is what the Soul Stone does. It's just
Yes.
a stone that you got to die for. What
You
does
got
it
to die
do?
for it.
You got to die
Yeah.
for it. Well, what is it? You got to die for? Oh, what the fuck?
Maybe this is just me. I don't know if I'm the only one that thought about this, but like if I had like a trading card collection of mint like Pokemon cards, if I that
Okay.
I love, if, like I'm a basement dweller, I don't see the sunlight, and I just collect Pokemon cards. Like this is my life, and I go there and I drop my collection of Pokemon cards. I'm pretty sure I would get the stone. But I
Then
don't
it's
think
so
it's.
stupid.
I don't
It's
think.
just
Yeah.
the stupidest fucking thing I've
I
ever heard
think
in
I
my
don't
life.
think it's like you think like if you had your Pokemon cards in your pocket and you went up to Red Skull and he was like, you got to trade something you love. You think you just throw the cards down and get
Or
it?
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because
I
we
Right.
think
get
it's
No,
like
to.
Andrew,
you love.
I don't think Andrew's wrong. I just think the writing
The
is
film.
that bad.
Yeah, the filmmaking and the storytelling. I was also going to add, well, I hate to be like I sound like a comic book purist, but the Soul Stone is actually a very interesting like artifact in the comics where the soul.
Gene.
No.
No.
Keep going.
Yeah, the soul gem. Like it has a lot. Obviously Adam Warlock wasn't introduced yet. Or he's probably going to be in Guardians 3, but it has like this whole soul world. Like a lot of interesting stuff you could choose to do with it, like like some back issues and like lore that they chose not to explore like at all. And that's like, you have all this interesting stuff, and then they're like, no, we're just gonna kill someone off. It kind of I was like a little disappointed because it's such an interesting like comic book artifact that none of the backstory was chosen to use, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
think it would have been hard, man. I think it would have been hard to introduce all that stuff in the last movie.
right?
When
Well, I
there's
mean,
so much stuff going on.
no. You know what? I
no.
think these people are just boring.
Yeah,
I think
like,
these filmmakers are
like,
just generally very boring. Because Winter Soldier's like tries to be a more grounded type action thriller, and it's really good. And then you notice like, well, I mean, you guys disagree with me, but like when they start implementing like the more fantastical stuff, I find that they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Mhm.
And then how do they not do anything with Vision? When Vision's born in Ultron, it's like he's this ideal like superhero. He's like this ideology of like a higher power that the Avengers can achieve when they work together and like for the betterment of people. And then he dies in Infinity War, and it's obviously sad, but it's like, well, then that was like nothing. That was a nothing thing.
Then you kind of don't get.
You don't get to the fire. Like he only died because Whedon put a damn stone in his forehead. So like
Whedon didn't write Infinity War.
Yeah, but also they were trying to separate.
In Age of Ultron, they gave him the stone.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't write Infinity War.
Yeah, he didn't write Infinity War, and also in Infinity War, they have like a whole thing where they're trying to separate the soul from Vision, and then I guess they didn't because now he's dead, and it's never like addressed like what happens to Vision. And it's like, oh, well, obviously he's dead, but like there's nothing like that said. Did they separate him from the soul gem? That was a little like up in the air.
Dead?
I don't think that's a Whedon thing. That was more of a Russo's thing because they decided to kill him off. But they're not very creative people. Where it felt like they could have done something to keep Vision alive with the without the stone. But anyway, I was just gonna add just for one last thing on the soul gem for Vilmir, where my girlfriend pointed this out, and I'm like, she's like, oh, so the Red Skull just chills there in that scene, like he felt like a prop.
He's
just like, oh.
He's a prisoner.
What's that?
He's a prisoner.
Yeah, but like he has like such a history in the MCU where it's like him and Captain America had, he's Captain America's like anti version of himself. There was some lingering storylines with Red Skull, and then he's just this background character that just like he's like I hate to use video game terms with this, where he's just like this. This NPC that just says the exact same lines of dialogue, nothing more, nothing like, oh, he's cursed, and it's like, yeah, he's just cursed. He'll keep saying the same things until you drop someone off. Like that's kind of a wasted opportunity.
I guess.
And also, it is. I think it is because it's like Captain America never meets him.
That's crazy to me. That's
crazy.
Bananas.
Like how does that happen? Like you couldn't send Cap there? Like Captain America and Red Skull never have. No, how are you okay with that? Like
that would be awkward. I'm okay with that, honestly. I'm okay with that. Hear me out. He's not a memorable character in these movies. I saw Infinity War with my dad opening night, and when he popped up, everyone screamed, all the nerds, and my dad looked at me like puzzled, like, "Who the hell is that guy?" And he's seen all the movies. And most people don't know who he is. Hip people who are into the comics and remember the movies well, like you and I, us four, remember Red Skull. Most people don't. So
you know what? I will say that's invalid because they had fucking Jarvis from the Agent Carter ABC television series pop up in this, and I was the only one who cheered.
I like that. Who he was. I like seeing that. I like the Agent Carter series. That was
great.
Really cool. But he doesn't like stop the movie like I'm Jarvis and now I'm gonna talk about how I'm doing right now.
The principle still stands. But look, I want to also highlight some stuff that worked for me, and I guess Gene, because you guys liked it. But why don't we just go around our favorite moments? Make it fast. Brandon, you don't even get to go first this time.
You know what? Thank you.
Who goes first? All right, I'll go first. For me, I think the last hour, 45 minutes were my favorite. Just the whole thing was my favorite part of the movie. The last battle was I will say it was very epic. In terms of it really felt like a comic book splash page. The scene where all the heroes and like the Ravagers and the magicians and the Asgardians and the Wakandans all like come out of the portals. That felt like a comic book splash page.
Yeah.
That was amazing to see, and it really felt like that because it's like this is the MCU. It really felt like a cinematic universe where it's like everyone's there and everyone's interacting. That was like magical, and I love that scene. Individual moments were really highlighted from that. Captain America finally saying "Avengers Assemble," great. The little moment before that, Captain America's like final stand, where it's like that felt like such a good epitome of that character, where it's like he doesn't have the shield.
Mm-hmm.
He's just by himself, and he still decides to stand up. That was like in the original comic where he still stands up to Thanos, even though his shield's destroyed in the Vigilante Finger. That was great, and that's like such a good character beat for Cap because he still has this like indomitable will, and he'll still like fight to the very end. And everyone backed him up, and he leads the charge. That was great. And I think my favorite moment is still. I wouldn't say it was Iron Man's the snap when he goes, "I am Iron Man."
Yeah.
But I think I really liked the funeral because Iron Man, I felt like his death was earned. It worked for me. Like it could have been filmed a little better. I don't know if they were rushing that day. Who knows? But I love the funeral because that was such a somber moment, and like the little character moments with like Happy and Morgan Stark, who had the line about cheeseburgers, which called back to the first Iron Man. It was like it was so sad, and I think that's actually what got me to tear up because it wasn't Iron Man dying; it was his daughter. Like she was all sad because it's like her dad died, and you see all the characters that were like shaped and influenced by Tony. Like the whole universe is kind of reacting to his death and like the relationship they had, and I thought that was a very well written, well earned moment. That funeral, I think that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
The Tony stuff at the end. Again, it is sad, and I felt nothing. That moment, the cheeseburger line. Yeah, that one got me. That was good.
I was gonna say because it's like if that doesn't get you, man.
No, that was the shit.
Yeah,
that was sad. That's what I came for.
And it was great that it had Favreau in it because Favreau, started this universe.
Yeah,
well. One of the architects. So,
if I could just hop in and then I'll take it back to Andrew and Brandon. I actually really like the time travel stuff, although I do think Cap should have ended up on Vormir to see Red Skull again. Vormir just, the planet looks amazing. The Russos still don't know how to shoot like anything that's not VFX heavy, but the planet is cool. But I when I heard that like it's 3 hours long, I got horrified because I was like, oh no. These aren't. I don't think these people are Peter Jackson level filmmakers, so this terrified me. And then I heard like, well, it's really character focused, and I was like, okay, maybe Winter Soldier did a pretty good job there. And then when it started, I was like, oh no, I don't think I like this. But once everyone started going back to like the It's a Wonderful Life episode of Avengers, basically, although they still should have done more with that, I think. That's what I was like. That's a pipe dream for me to do a story like that. So to see that here and was a lot of fun, even though most of the characters don't really have like a direct, meaningful relationship to a lot of the stuff. Steve Rogers and Tony Stark did when they went back to the first Avengers. And then when they went back even further for the Pym particles and the Soul Stone at the old SHIELD facility that later blows up in Winter Soldier, and they run into like the important people in their lives, I was like, okay, yeah, that's the shit right there. That's what I want to see. That was A+. That's
Right.
some of the best stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mhm.
Please
was great
remember that
to
I
see.
do not like this movie, but that was fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, that was great
That
with
was
him and his
great
dad. I
work.
love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And still, my favorite moment in the movie is not that. It is where Natasha Romanoff should have also been as one of the original 6 members of the Avengers when Thor's getting his ass beat by Thanos. He's about to die. And a bolt of lightning knocks Thanos the fuck out of the way, and it's Captain America holding the hammer.
That was awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Natasha, they should have been tossing it back and forth between Cap and Natasha Romanoff. It would have made it even more epic, but that was
She's not
totally deserved. No, her lack of even trying to be worthy is what makes her worthy. She does not believe that she's a hero, and she absolutely is one now. She was, I guess, because she's dead. But that's that. They clearly set that up, and they just killed her for reasons. Like it's aggravating to me. But the stuff I mentioned, I loved. I really, really did love. And there's other stuff in there too. Like there's the moment where they're wondering if the re-snap worked to bring everyone back, and then Scott Lang sees a tree that wasn't there before, having grown back with some birds. And I was like, "Hey, this is a nice little." And then boom! I go, "Okay, now we're in the action."
That
And
was really
good too.
cool. I love that part too.
Yeah. I wish I felt more from there. Oh, I really like Nebula a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm Guardians are the best movies in the MCU to me, and I'm glad that they did her character like well in this because you can kind of feel the lack of gun with the Guardian stuff in the previous one to me. But I liked her a lot here, and yeah, I'll Andrew and Brandon because I got more stuff to say, but let's hop around a little bit. Andrew, what is your favorite moment in the movie?
I agree with your guys' favorite moments, so I'm gonna say different stuff.
Yes, please.
Korg playing Fortnite and saying Noob Slayer 69 while Meek is eating pizza next to
That
him.
was funny.
That
I love how he had
that
the
is
Hawaiian shirt that Taika Waititi wears.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I cheered when I saw Korg and Meek because I
Oh,
love
yeah,
Thor
I love that.
Ragnarok.
That was great.
But guys, that shot of just them on the couch,
Just chilling.
that's what cinema is, you know? Like I feel like me being a film student these past 4 years of my life, it's worth something when I saw Corey playing Fortnite. It meant that much to me. Okay, like I'm gonna defend this moment too. A lot of people are not gonna like it, but Hulk dabbing is something
Oh,
that
We were
feels
talking about this before we started.
oh,
Gene,
I hated that.
that Hulk,
I liked it.
Hulk in that no,
No.
it's good.
It's funny,
Yes, it
right?
is. You know why?
Bad. He's lame.
Because not because he's dabbing, but that's Hulk basically feels just like a big Mark Ruffalo, and that's totally something Mark Ruffalo would try to do to fit in. It's
Right.
stupid, but it's like my kind of stupid.
It's goofy,
and
it
that's
completely
something that
works
he
for
will
Mark
do.
Ruffalo. I still hate what they do with Hulk in these last 2 movies.
No,
I
Chad Hulk
hated.
is my guy. Chad.
Oh no, that's a thing.
He's a Chad.
Like along with like thick Thanos and whatever. Like
Yeah.
people are really into this Hulk. Like
Oh yeah.
really
Oh yeah.
No,
into
let's
this
talk
Hulk.
about Chad Hulk. No,
What a
let's
great
talk about
man.
his fit. That man has style. Cardigan. He has a thin shirt, but you can tell he's not too cold. He's comfy. His glasses, his pants, no shoes. Man is bold. He's making bold decisions up in here.
Oh man, oh man.
His choice of food, eggs in a giant bowl. That's a man. That's a man. That's a Chad meal. I don't know about you guys.
So
that's
good.
what Chads eat.
Yeah. Those eggs look so good, dude.
And like I don't know, like his dialogue is just so perfect when he's telling the kids like, yeah, your mother knows better. Like that's something that Mark Ruffalo, a big Mark Ruffalo would do in real life, and that's what like I really appreciated. What else can I say that like is probably unpopular? I'm just thinking. Oh, you know what? I will defend this. Like the time travel stuff, I appreciated that it was not really action heavy, and it moves really quick. But 2 Caps fighting each other, and throwing like a shield at each other, that was like,
that was beautiful.
it just felt good. It just felt good.
Yeah,
For
I
me.
liked the time travel stuff. But again, I fell in love with it when it was just Tony and Steve. But yeah, the time travel stuff was a lot of fun.
Him seeing his dad, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I wanted to cry a little bit. Not gonna lie, just like damn,
I cried for sure.
he's smoothly not gonna
Brandon,
get to me.
what do you got? Favorite
Um,
moment?
um, well, everything you guys just said, Diego, you're wrong, but I like what you said right now.
Thank you.
Right
Thank
now,
you.
you're so if fair things, you are right. So I'm just gonna add two things. That is America's ass and Hail
Yes.
Hydra. Hail Hydra.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really like that too.
I know because I thought they were gonna try and do like uppercut, do a better version of the elevator scene, but instead it's just Hail Hydra. That was brilliant, brilliant, and a nice callback to that moment in comic books where everyone hated comic books when Cap said Hail Hydra.
Yeah, I didn't see through the end of that story, but I was starting to tap out of comics anyways. So
Yeah, I bought that one just to have it.
oh, okay. Does anyone know if it was good? If it was like Superior Spider-Man, where everyone's like, "This is dumb," and then by the end, everyone's like crying.
It's supposed to be good,
Okay.
supposedly.
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
Okay.
It's worth checking out.
Yeah, it reminded me of Superior Spider-Man with that opening where it's like, "Whoa, this is controversial. They could either stick the landing or not." So I don't know. I'll check it out someday. Some other things I do want to mention because I've been giving Thanos a lot of crap lately because in Infinity War, he's kind of just like a philosophy 101 student who's trying to be edgy. There's like yo, your plan doesn't make sense, and that's fine because he's a villain.
Greenpeace. He's a
That's
Greenpeace guy coming to your door.
it's totally fine because he's the villain for him to be like kind of stupid, but like none of the heroes like counter that with anything other than we have to stop him. And like, yeah, no shit, you got to stop him, but like I felt like he could have gotten a lot out of that. And so this movie doesn't fix that for me, but the idea of the surviving Avengers trying to preserve like humanity and like their legacy, like trying to do good one last time, just one shot. It might not even work, but the fact that they tried might be enough. It ultimately does, but like them wanting to rectify their failures, like they don't want to live, they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't fight this last fight. And then Thanos from the past learns of all this, and so it's like his legacy clashing up against their legacy, fighting for like who will ultimately like be the victor of history is such a great fucking idea. Like I really liked Thanos in this, and I did not like him in the last movie. In the long run, so I'm very happy that they went with the more like less like logical consistency and more like thematic consistency. But I think that's just what I kind of like in my superhero movies more than like the point A to point B stuff that these kind of get bogged down in once in a while.
I think there's something really poetic that in Infinity War, the heroes they're they're more like closer in like to their prime, and they face Thanos when he's just like ready to rest already, like he's ready to get like the whole thing over with. And in this movie, the heroes are ready to just get everything over with, and they're fighting Thanos like ideally in his prime. Like he's got all like the armies, he's got like the cool like looking suit, he's got like a new like Final Fantasy blade, like he's like in top form, and it's kind of like opposite from like Infinity War. And I think it's like it's like George Lucas, like it's poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah, no, that great storytelling in that kind of arc right there. I really really liked him in this movie. I would actually put him in like at least the upper echelons of the villains in this one, and I would not have done that before if I'm being honest. I guess just a couple more things before we start moving into the final segments of this. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. Obviously, I love Thor. I am not happy with Thor abandoning the Asgardians because that's basically what he. I'm not very happy with how anyone's arc ended. After all, originally I was defending the Captain America one because obviously the first Avengers is the shit, and Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers are like bagels, obviously, and they always deserve their dance. And so in a vacuum, ignoring everything else, ending on that final moment between these two people who have been through so much and like fighting through time and space to get back to each other is a beautiful, beautiful moment, and I couldn't have been happier with it.
Yeah.
But then someone brought up that makes Sharon Carter his niece, and now it's really fucked up and weird. And I don't know how I feel about that anymore.
It's not incest, guys. It's not incest.
I agree.
Blood related.
It's
But
weird.
I don't think
It's really Woody Allen. Also, man, it wasn't blood related. I'm just saying. I'm not comparing Captain America to Woody
I was
Allen,
about to say
but
what.
Don't
you
you
know,
compare Captain America to
Whoa,
Woody.
whoa, 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 whoa! Where's this
He
going,
is
Diego?
not worthy. Woody Allen is not worthy of anything.
no, Woody Allen should be in prison. There you go.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna get in trouble someday,
No,
but
it's
I
all
don't
right.
care.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. No one likes Woody Allen anymore.
Yeah, I know he's gonna try to sue me or something, and then
He's
the
more
lawyers are gonna
like
be like, "Dude,
really good movies.
yeah,
Fuck that guy.
yeah, fuck Woody Allen." There you go.
Fuck Woody Allen.
This
We
is the
all-
Endgame podcast, but also the fuck Woody Allen podcast. But all I'm saying is that it's weird. It's very weird that they end the Captain America story that way. Specifically because of Civil War. It's almost like that movie's so bad, even the filmmakers want you to forget about it. Hey yo.
Yo.
Thor, I guess we talked a little bit about Fat Thor. I felt a little bit like fat shaming, how like look at how sad and funny he is. You know, and like I know Thor's like funny now, and I love Ragnarok and I'm cool with the way that went down. But like I don't feel like these guys are Taika Waititi, and not like he's like he should be ashamed or anything like that. I'm not like one of those people who are like, oh, the Russos owe him an apology. Like, motherfucker, he worked on the movie too. Like, it's like no, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think they had a decent idea about him like being who he wants to be as opposed to who he's being told to be. And I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with that idea. But how it plays out in the movie never feels like it has the right weight to it. And even in the moment with him and his mom from like Thor: The Dark World, the movie none of us much like, that should have been that felt like it lacked something to me.
Really?
Yeah, and
was a
you
great
know the
moment.
idea of it when it was starting to go that way, I was like, this
I
is gonna
thought-
be touching as hell, and I just didn't feel a connection to it.
I-
And Thor's
I
my
thought-
boy.
I thought it was really. I was surprised how touching it was because I barely remember his mom in the movies. I kind of forgot Renee Russo played her, so I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what? Renee Russo, what? And I thought it was a really touching moment because, like, I mean, we've been there, and like that also kind of reminded me how Thor reminded me of Peter Parker in Spider-Verse, like him seeing Mary Jane and like how he lost Mary Jane in this. And Rocket is like Gwen's telling him like, move on. No, we got a job to do. We got a job to do. But he does have that beautiful moment with her, and she's like, it's okay. It's okay. I believe in you, and like, don't worry, you'll get there. You'll get there again. And I thought it was a really sweet moment. And I mean, I know you and I both that we clearly disagree. So I'm not trying to convert you to that.
No. You know, I do wish someone could convert me because I really do think it just comes down to like the way it was filmed, like because that should have been I should have been bawling for like half of this movie, and I just wasn't.
Well, I don't know how to say. I mean,
Maybe I'm broken. Maybe this movie broke me.
I think you just have no soul. It's okay.
I don't know. I cried in Aquaman, so I don't know.
You like Aquaman?
Aquaman fucking owns. Aquaman owns bones.
Oh, call you.
I never heard that. I'm gonna steal that. Owns bone.
I stole it from my friend Alex Hernandez from the We Forgive You podcast. So just a shout out to them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then one last thing. So for the Guardians, Peter Quill is back on Earth for the first time since he was a child, and it's not a big deal at all.
I thought I will give you that. I didn't think about that while I was watching it, but like I've been thinking about this movie the whole weekend, and I thought about that yesterday, and I was thinking about like, wait, yeah, that is kind of. But like, there's so much in this movie. There's so many characters, and so much time. It would just make a 3-hour movie longer. Who knows? Maybe they shot a scene of him like visiting his mom's grave, and they just cut it out. So, I mean, but who knows? It's hard to tell. We might revisit that in Guardians 3, like him and Rocket could be having a conversation like, hey, what was it like revisiting Earth for the first time? And,
oh God, if that's all they do with that, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
well, I don't think it's gonna be all they do with it, but it's gonna be like it'll be mentioned, it'll be talked about. Like,
God, I so hope so. And the fact that Gamora is still not with them, she like they show her like on a search monitor saying searching.
Yeah,
but like
it's probably gonna be the plot of the movie, him trying to get her back.
I mean, that would be kind of cool. It's like a search for Spock kind of thing. But then still, it's like these women don't feel like they have agency. Like they're just tossed off cliffs, and then they're given a great
Zoe
hero shot
Saldana,
in the
she was in
finale.
this movie, dude.
Yeah, but like, then why even have all these people in this movie if we're not going to have them like be fully defined characters? Like, there's no interiority to
She
anyone.
was a fully defined character. What about her OT wasn't fully defined?
No, I'm saying like in this movie, like why even have all these people like in it if we're not going to like get to know what they think of any of these situations or like, you know?
I don't know. I think they did a pretty good job of that. I guess if you do want a 6 hour version, which I would love a 6 hour version of this, where we get to know everyone's thoughts, where we get to know someone like, I don't know, M'Baku's thoughts, who only remember seeing him charging in the scene, and I don't remember him seeing. I don't remember seeing him in any other scenes in the movie. But like, if we get to know everyone's thoughts, then it would just make this movie longer, which maybe we'll get. I doubt we'll get an extended cut. I don't think that's a thing that Marvel Studios does.
Yeah.
But I would love to see an extended cut. But I do think the writers, I think the Russos and the writers, I think they all did a pretty good job showing us how all these characters feel and what they've been through, and just seeing some of their facial expressions and just little moments. For me, it was enough. And honestly, after this one, I would be okay if the MCU stopped.
I will actually agree with you, but I think I'm coming from a place of genuine sadness because I'm not a fan of this movie, and I don't see myself checking out even like Far From Home in theaters. Maybe for this podcast, I will have to, or I'll just let Gene do something.
Oh, I'm checking it out, Mysterio, baby.
Oh God, he looks so good. But
Fishbowl helmet.
oh yeah, no, Fishbowl 2019, we're doing it, baby. But like, this movie just exhausted me, and I felt sad that I couldn't connect to anything happening apart from the stuff I mentioned that I did really like. And I don't know, maybe that's down to the filmmakers. Maybe that's also why I don't like the idea of a 6 hour version of this, just because of who made it. You know, and I guess
So you want
as we start
cut?
wrapping up,
You want the Snyder cut?
No,
oh God, no, please do not put me in that category.
no, please.
Look out for the Batman retrospective BVS. That we might talk about the movie longer than that movie.
Oh, are you doing one on?
Yeah, we're doing we're making our way through Batman and BVS. We're recording it soon.
Oh, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
I hope so. Okay, but as we wrap up, Russo's final MCU movie. Around the panel, are you cool seeing what they do next? Would you like for them to come back to do another one?
Obviously, I mean, of course, it's going to be their last. They spent so much of their life at this point making these movies under this brand. So, like, yeah, I'm happy for them. They did their thing. They're done. You know, all good things must come to an end. Or if you don't like them, all things must come to an end in general. But, like, in general, I think they will, like, be making movies for, like, quite some time now. I see them doing, like, I think they have something, like, planned right now, but it's, like, a smaller... I don't know what it's about, but it's not like a big blockbuster, you know? Like, I see them making movies. I'm happy for them. I think, and it's telling because, like, when we were ranking the movies, it's telling that, like, regardless if, like, you hate them or you like them, you're gonna, like, know their name for a long time. And I think not a lot of people can achieve that, you know what I mean? To make something that's so, like, it has to do with the brand. So I think they have cemented themselves. And regardless, look, like, I can put all my complaints about, like, storytelling aside, etc. One thing that I think people cannot, like, deny is the way, like, they film, like, action in general, because
What the
things
fuck?
are like,
Yes.
no, I'll fight you on this.
Fight
But,
me.
like,
I will fight. Hey, Andrew, let's fight them together.
All right,
Make
it's
them
like
angry, brother.
this is like
But,
Iron
like,
Man versus Winter Soldier and Captain America, where he's right and the other idiots are upset because his friend murdered his parents.
but, like, there's so much stuff that, like, that happens, like, on the screen, like, there's so much, like, information visually, but, like, it never feels like, for me at least, it never feels like, oh, I'm getting tired, or my eyes hurt because I can't tell what's going on, or like I have a headache because I can't focus. Like it never feels like that. And like it could have easily, especially with the third act in this movie when it's just like so much stuff going on. Like there's always like a focus. And I'm not saying they're the only directors that can do that. There's other people who can do that really well too, but no one else has done it like that in a comic book movie, in my opinion. Even though like not to this scale at least. It's a little unfair because they're the only ones that have gotten the chance to do it on this scale. But I think they're gonna if they're gonna remember for anything specifically besides story, love them, hate them, it's probably gonna be that. But yeah, like I'm happy for them. They're gonna move on. I'm excited for like I'd be a total liar if I say I'm not gonna watch more movies anymore because I've grown up with this since I was a kid. I've like even before the MCU, I've loved these characters. I've watched cartoons, read books, etc. So like if I'm gonna see something that is gonna interest me, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. But I'm happy that the movies going forward seem to be smaller and more like one-off. So I think it'd be a nice break from the from the big epic scale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited for Chloe Zhao's The Eternals. Have you guys seen The Rider?
No, I hear it's very good.
Okay, yeah, it's a small, independent little Western film about a cowboy. And Chloe Zhao directed it. And I heard when I heard she came onto The Eternals, I was like, "What the fuck?" That's like Terrence Malick making an Avengers movie. That's how like that's the level of like auteur we're talking here. So I'm very interested if that movie happens with her attached. Because she's a very particular filmmaker, and I'm a huge fan. So even though I'm saying I want to take a break from these, which is true. If Eternals comes out next year, then I am full of shit because I'm there day one. Just want to make that clear.
Cool.
We're gonna get our yeehaw on, guys. Let's watch The Rider.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, Kumail Nanjiani and Angelina Jolie. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Great casting. Well, I'm excited.
Very good cast.
It's not about how much we lost. It's about how much we have left. We're the Avengers. We gotta finish this. You trust me? I do.
Let's just start wrapping up then.
Okay, Diego, really quick, do you want to read the tweets really quick so we could just have that one?
Okay. So here's the thing. At first, no one was really replying. Just one person, and it was a negative one. So, and then more people started replying, and they're all negative. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them on the YouTube version of this, just up ahead, because I don't want it to just be a negative podcast for my. It's Gene and I's production, but I don't want to just be negative for the sake of negative. So if you're interested, here they are on the screen, and if not, that's okay too, because I think we had at least a good discussion about what worked and what didn't for us. Regardless or not, this movie is going to steamroll over everything and make all the money in the world. I think it will dethrone Avatar. Which I'm actually a little bummed about. I've come around in Avatar in a big way recently. Yeah, I hope it's an original film, not necessarily a screenplay, but it's an original IP.
It Dances with Wolves.
No, it's an original production. There you go, from a very singular filmmaker who might be hell to work with, but it's an original production that made more money than anything else on the planet, and that's very inspiring.
And also, no one spiked James Cameron's food with PCP, so like I don't think it was that bad. Like they did very Titanic.
Yeah, so there you go.
You see, I agree with all of that, but that movie still kind of feels like exhausting to watch.
No, man, that movie holds the fuck up when I rewatched it, but that's another podcast entirely. We're gonna sign off now, I want to hear your guys' final thoughts on where the MCU goes from here. Anything you want to leave Avengers Endgame with? Brandon, please leave us on a high note.
Like I said, I love this movie. I would be okay if the MCU ended here. But I'm excited to see what's in store. I'm excited for Spider-Man Far From Home. The Eternals is going to be cool. I want more one-offs. I don't know if the X-Men can work in this world. The idea of mutants is that they're not liked by society. I just don't see that working in this world. But the Fantastic Four. I'm excited to see them in here. I hope it's a good one. Hoping for John Cho as Mr. Fantastic and Zac Efron as the Human Torch. So putting that in. That's my dream casting. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And just want to thank you. And I want to thank Marvel Studios for a great freaking movie, regardless of what Diego Sola says.
Andrew, what about you?
Movie is very good. It's not perfect. Overall, I think what this movie like really like makes clear, and I really appreciate it, is that like the MCU was like really successful overall, but people can have very diverse opinions on it, but they can still like all come together to say, yeah, this thing was like successful overall. Like I like the fact that different people can have different rankings that are very different from each other, or that they can like different things about these movies, but they can still come together and say, yeah, like you know what, it was probably worth it. Because like the least thing that I wanted is like a safe, like by the books ending. Yeah, this is gonna happen. Beat here. Thanos gonna give you. It kind of does that a little bit because it gives you like the big final battle. But the I honestly think the last thing that you could say about this movie is that it's very very safe, because there are some decisions that are made that you're like, what? Like that's kind of odd. Like Chad Hulk, Dad Body Thor, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the those two things are like the last thing that you would think would happen in a safe ending. We would probably get like super powered, you know, like Thor, no dad bod. Hulk would probably be like smashing out. You know what I mean? Like just that's the stuff that comes off the top of my head. But I appreciate that the most, that it wasn't the safest ending, because that's like it's kind of boring, you know. And it's like you kind of, even though I would still have fun with it, you know, it's kind of like expected for certain things to happen. But I think this movie did a good job of diverting those expectations.
Well said. Gene.
Yes. I was going to answer the Rousseau question. I would want to see them direct You, Me, and Dupree too. I didn't get to add that. That's a certified classic. I think it's actually a comedy movie. Like if that happens, they'll be like it's bigger than Infinity War. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the MCU moving forward, because it feels like there are times where it's like I really thought it's cool to have a connected universe, but there's other times in the Infinity Saga where it felt very contrived and it kind of hurt the movies. Like I felt Spider-Man Homecoming was a little hurt by how connected everything is.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't have certain elements in the Spidey universe, like him being a menace, you know, because all the heroes are kind of accepted, or just kind of like the logic of like the chronology of the universe, where it's like it's 7 years from Avengers, but then it wasn't, and like all this confusion over like the timeline over that.
I don't care about the timeline. Who cares? Who cares? But
Right.
I do agree that it was a little hurt
It was
in
a
the
little
aftermath, not in the movie itself. I actually liked how they world built in there, but
Me too.
right.
the aftermath makes it
right.
hard for me to like that movie as
Yeah,
much.
yeah, of course. And I was I think I'm looking forward to post Infinity Saga MCU, because the things that Feige said about how the universe was going to be maybe just a little less interconnected, I think will maybe help some people have more enthusiasm over just the movies. Like Shang-Chi seems like, oh, that's great. That's nuts that they're doing that. And it won't be like, oh, you know, we have to put the Infinity Stone in there. Everyone's like wondering about how is this going to connect? And it's like, well, you know, it got to a point where it's like everything doesn't have to connect. Like, let's just appreciate them as movies. So, and I really want them to do something really different. Like in if Spider-Man's like a menace, if they explore that, or if they explore maybe like some paranoia over the X-Men, because I mean, universally, just kind of all the heroes were accepted at this point, just to try new different things where it's not some of the same public, you know, some of the same reception on takes on superheroes. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. And I think the Russos are okay, but I wouldn't want them to do more Marvel movies. Is it just that they had their time, their time in the sun, and like other people could take over and be
Yeah.
the main voice. So and like I'm getting a little tired of some of their choices because I don't know how Feige like approved Fat Thor for like a whole movie where I don't know, like did they just tell him like, oh, it'll be okay, it'll work? Because I held Fat
Dad
Thor,
body Thor.
yeah, Dad, but Fat Thor is just back what Diego said, just all fat jokes, like one note fat jokes, and it got old. So yeah, let's not have another Rousseau movie. Give it back to people. But yeah, I'll definitely see more MCU movies, and I think Far From Home has me really interested in just how like crazy it's going to be with Mysterio and all the like the really wacky elements of Spider-Man. So.
Well, on that note, we got to wrap the podcast. I think this was a good discussion. I'm glad we had this discussion. I think I like the stuff I liked even more. I definitely wasn't swayed by any opinions, but I do wish I was again.
Neither was I, motherfucker.
Yeah. I do wish that I could have liked this movie more. I'm keep bringing up Age of Ultron because that's my favorite of the Avengers movies, but like I think that also has the best line in the series where Vision tells Ultron like a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. Like the imperfections, all the problems. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, like you can find beauty in anything, and I think that still holds true for the MCU because I'm always going to love the ones I really love, and I'm probably always going to dislike the ones I dislike, and that's okay. That's what works about these movies. Like they're mostly different enough to latch on to in our own ways, or maybe they don't for people, and I think that should be okay too. Just basically don't be an asshole to someone who likes these. Don't be an asshole to someone who doesn't like these.
True.
Brandon, can people still find you online, or are you on
They
hiatus?
can still find me online. Since Diego never will invite me back on the show, you can find me online. You can find me on Instagram at Beeswash. I'm drawing a lot, doing animal alphabet, combining two animals. I might make a book of that soon. And you can still find me on YouTube at Be My Rules. You can watch my old trailer mashups. I will be making new videos soon. I don't know if I want to announce what those will be or if I even know what those will be, but I'm excited to. You can still find me online, and you should listen to more of this podcast because it is fascinating. The things of listening to a soulless man of Diego. And so thank you on your left, and thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Brandon, it's great to have you back. You always have a place here, even if we disagree on my soullessness and the soullessness of this corporate product. Andrew, where can the people find you?
When the time comes, and it's okay to talk about spoilers freely on the timelines. If you want Chad Hulk content, Dad Body Thor content, or if you're willing to explore Endgame cinematic parallels to Shrek, I will be diving deeply. I'm not even joking. Like I sound like a clown, but I honestly thought about Shrek during Endgame, and I was like, this is what cinema is. And you can follow me on Twitter at AndrewJ626. I'm gonna be diving into these parallels really when the time comes. And honestly, people are talking about spoilers pretty openly right now. So as long as I can get some good picks, I'm gonna go right into it. But if that's your type of content, then I'm gonna follow me on Twitter. We're gonna and talk to me about it because I'm always down for more deep discussions about Shrek.
Shrek is love.
Thank you, Andrew.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Gene, plugs.
Yeah.
Either or.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Is that your plug?
No, God, no.
That's a good plug.
Yeah, I'll just link the video down below.
You could find me on Twitter, Instagram, Gene9892. Hopefully have more
stuff about the short film, you can post it on there. But yeah, follow me on those socials.
Hashtag VeraOS. And of course, you can follow me at the Diego Crespo on Twitter. Check out the rest of the Waffle Press, the Batman retrospectives, our own trailer mashups in honor of Brandon, of course, and many other things we got going on here. Patreon down below. Help us out. Let us help you listen to us by giving us money, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, give us money anyways. That's okay. Like and subscribe if you like this. If you didn't like this, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. And also, anything else down below, like everything else we talked about. So thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.